What's up, everyone? Fishbowl 3 here, and I am going to tell you the story of Peter and the Wolf. Each character is represented by a specific instrument in the orchestra. So, for those non illiterate music folks out there, we'll take it down one by one. So let's start off by our hero Peter. He is represented by the strings. And the bird, who we're going to meet pretty early on in the story, he is represented by, and his name is Sasha, so it's her name, but she is represented by the flute. And the duck by the oboe. And the sneaky cat by none other than the clarinet. One of the least supportive characters, in my opinion, is the grandfather, represented by none other than the bassoon. And the wolf himself is none other than three French horns. Now, when we hear the hunters, we're going to hear the kettle drums and the big bass drum. And there you have the instruments that represent all the characters. And now we are going to begin our story. Early one morning, Peter opened the gate and walked into the big green meadow. On the branch of a big tree sat a little bird, Peter's friend. For all is quiet, chirped the bird gaily. Oh, indeed, all was quiet. There was not even a breath of wind for the pond. It was very, very still, and it was very, very boring. I have to say they were probably praying for wind this whole time. Had to have been pretty hot. So the next friend we meet is a duck. He, she really was glad that Peter didn't shut the gate because now she can go relax and take a nice, nice swim in the deep pond in the middle of the meadow. I think the bird wanted to be a little bit of a show off here, so he flies down and says to the duck, "What? What kind of a bird are you if you can't fly?" To which the duck in turn replied, "Well, what kind of a bird are you if you can't swim?" And so the bird says, "Oh, it's on now. I'm going to jump into this water and I'm going to start chasing after you." And that's exactly what she did. Silly old Sasha. Yeah, she kept on making fun of this duck. She kept on chasing him along the shore, and the duck just kept swimming. But now Peter saw something off in the distance. Distracted him. He noticed a cat sneaking off in the grass. Now the cat thought, that bird is busy arguing with the duck. I'll just grab him. So it slowly crept towards the bird on her velvet claws. And I think his name's Ivan. "Look out!" shouted Peter, and the bird immediately flew up into the tree. The duck was going right into the middle of the pond where the cat couldn't touch her and quacks at the cat with all her might. Says, "Nya, nya, 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 nya." So the cat really wasn't sure what to do. She's like, should I go for the bird or the duck? So at the expense of Peter's amusement, trying to figure this all out, who should show up off in the distance, but his grandfather, who is furious at what Peter did. And so his whole attitude on this is a dangerous place, he growled. Are you insane? Suppose a wolf came out of the forest. Then what would you do? Now, do you think Peter was intimidated with his grandfather's words? Of course not, because boys like Peter aren't afraid of wolves. I think he was saying to his grandpa, thinking, I don't give a rip what he says. But, of course, the grandfather didn't really care because he was worried about Peter's safety. So, of course, as any overly protective grandfather would do, he grabbed Peter by the hand, led him home, and locked the gate. The wolf getting a little excited there. It's all right. You'll get your turn. Don't worry. Well, I can say that the two really eager animals to get on the plate today was the duck and the wolf. They're both really excited, and you think and you'll find out a little later, but it's for good reason. But back to the story. No sooner had Peter gone than a big gray wolf did come out of the forest. In a flash, the cat was smart enough to climb up the tree. Now, the duck just about lost it. For whatever reason, she was just getting overly excited, starts quacking a lot louder, and believe it or not, jumps right out of the pond. Not yet. I tell you, that wolf really is excited today. But no matter how fast the duck tried to get away from that wolf, he was just ganging up on her. Ganging up on her. Ganging up! catching up with her. And before you know it, he got her. And with one gulp, swallowed her. I think this is for the duck trying to get even with the bird a little bit earlier in the play. All right. So, I want everyone to take a little bit of stock of the situation here. All right. The cat is sitting on one branch of the big tree. But now the bird on another. However, not too close to the cat. Grandfather laughing for whatever reason. But the wolf pretty much had his sights on both of them. So he's just waiting around for them to come to slip up. And so he is walking around the tree looking at them both with greedy eyes. They're pretty scared up there. Let's zoom in on Peter here. He's just sitting there watching all this, but behind the scenes, while the wolf is trying to figure out who its prey is going to be, Peter's got a backup plan. So here's what he does, folks. He runs home and grabs a strong rope and climbs up the high stone wall which separated his house from the meadow. Now see, the big tree in the meadow is so big that one of its branches reached all the way up to the wall. And so Peter naturally grabbed hold of the branch and swung himself easily onto the tree, but right next to the bird. Well, you have to kind of wonder how the bird wasn't scared when Peter shows up on the branch. But Peter has a plan, and this is what he tells the bird. All right, here's how it's going to go down. I want you to go down to the wolf and bait him. Make sure he doesn't see me, because I'm going to be up here trying to make a lasso out of the rope. So you go down there, I'll handle the rest. Just as you say, says little Sasha, and right down he goes. The bird got really close to that wolf, and he just wanted to catch her, and he did absolutely nothing to stop it. And he kept at it. She kept at it. He kept at it. The wolf was getting winded, and despite all of his efforts, he was not getting 1 cent close to that bird. So Peter finishes up the lasso on his rope and carefully let it down. And down, and down, and down, and down, and down. Until it caught the wolf by the tail. And then he pulled with all his might. And so, of course, the wolf just about lost it after Peter pulling. And so the wolf thinks he's going to get away with snapping the rope. And so he tries to get loose. Peter had this one covered from the start because the rope was already on the branch. At least the other side of the rope, anyway. And all the wolf's jumping did made the rope around his tail tighter. Just then, Peter saw some hunters coming out of the woods. They had been following the wolf's trail. I'm sure they had dogs and the cavalry and the CIA and all that business. And they were shooting as they came. Peter, high up in the tree, shouted, "Don't shoot! The bird and I have already caught the wolf. All you have to do is help us get him to the zoo. Can you do that?" So that pretty much wraps up the story. And now, just think about it. They captured the wolf. Imagine the triumphant procession. Well, as you can imagine, Peter at the head. Peter leading the group, and the hunters, of course, right behind Peter, leading the wolf. And so they caught that wolf, and they're off to the zoo. So we imagine this triumphant procession. Think of it as the victory celebration. Oh, I'm sure they had their G Fuel. And Grandfather winds up the whole procession along with the cat. Grandfather, of course, shook his head discontentedly. Well, he said, and what if Peter hadn't caught the wolf? What then? Oh, I know this orchestra had a lot of coffee when they did this performance. Above them flew the bird chirping merrily. My, what fine fellows we are, Peter and I. Look what we have caught. A whole wolf! Now, to close out the piece, note that the duck was still alive when the wolf ate her. He was pretty excited, so he didn't really think to digest, just inhale the duck right on sight, and so therefore all of the wolf and all of his excitement and hurry swallows her alive. And of course, the duck just couldn't stay still, and the wolf basically just sneezed him out. that concludes Peter and the Wolf. Stick around for another video with my thoughts on it.